Hi everyone. Today I'm going to do another requested video. I'm doing this one a little further away from the camera because I'm going to show you some of the things that I have gotten on my different travels that I've taken. And I talked, I think in my last video about how I used to have like a travel wall. And so I'm going to be showing things from that because I kind of fulfilled this request when I was showing my coffee mugs several weeks ago, but I decided to kind of do a part 2 of that because I've got lots of stuff that we hung on the travel wall, and when I was talking about that it reminded me. So I'm going to do that today, and I'm going to chew this Bubbly Yum cotton candy. I've gotten a lot of good ideas from you guys about where to find the Big League Chew Gum, so I'm going to try to get some of that soon and do that. But in the meantime, I'm switching back and forth between like this and the sugar-free gum that I like. So I'm also going to be drinking water. It's so hot today, so I feel like I can't get enough water. I know this isn't all of the stuff that I've pulled. I know it's not all of it, but it will at least help me get started, because I went in the attic to get some of it. It's so hot, and I think there's probably more, but I didn't want to go through every single thing, so I just got kind of what I could. I'm going to show you. The most stuff I have, or I guess like the country that I have the most things from, is China, because I lived there for a year. And so kind of on our different travels throughout China, I would collect different things. And this beautiful fan is one of the things that I got. I'm probably just going to use this throughout the video. And so I know that at the time when I got this, they translated it for me and told me what it said. I don't remember, which is a bummer. But I would kind of fan it out like this and use like nails or push pins or something to put it into the wall open like this instead of it being closed. So it kind of naturally stays open now unless I like fully close it. But it can go. It's so pretty. Handmade. So one side has the big characters, on the other side is smaller characters. It actually makes some good sounds also. So the stuff that I'm showing you guys is like all the stuff that we've recently had to take off the walls to just make room for the nursery. Some of this was hanging in our guest room in this house, and some of it we had not hung up in this house because we were trying to kind of declutter. But before we moved here, we always had like a big wall that we hung all of our stuff that we collectively had gotten on travels. So like some of this stuff is from my husband's travels, some of it's from my travels, and some of it is stuff we did together. Okay. This is another thing from China. I'll show you what it looks like folded up. It's kind of like a little scroll, and then you open it, and we had these, each of us like had on the trip, we somewhere that we went, which I think this was in Guilin. It's a city that we visited. We each like picked out a scripture that we wanted them to write, and we had Chinese friends with us, so they were able to like translate it for them and tell them what we wanted. And so my scripture was about joy. I can't remember exactly what it is right now, but I got a tattoo while I was there. Also had a Chinese friend go with me. That in Chinese says, "Be joyful always." And I think that this comes from that same scripture. I just got it expanded. Like I've used more of the scripture for this one. And so I had this hung up on our travel wall at one point. This was from another trip in China that we took, and I just thought this was a beautiful picture. And so I got it matted and framed. I love that photo. To figure out what to do with all these. This was from a little village in China that we visited, and they painted these pictures, and we each got like a different variation of it. I just thought it was so pretty and colorful. So this was on the wall. This picture is from Thailand. This was the big photo that I got in Thailand. I thought was really sweet. This one, I have been to Africa, but I've mentioned before that like my husband had also been to Africa, so he got this on a trip that he took to Africa. A beautiful painting. And so this was before we got married that he went on this trip. And got that. And that was hanging up. This was a little wall hanging that we got in Jamaica. We went to Jamaica, let's see, 5 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago. We went and did like a all-inclusive resort there. It was so nice and so wonderful. I think that was the last abroad trip that we took, like out of the country, I guess. I mean, it was purely just like chill vacation. We did a couple of little excursions. If you've been to Jamaica, you probably know about Rick's Cafe. I think we got this that day that we traveled there because they like stopped in some at some little outdoor shops like on the way when we went there from our resort. And we had a lot of framed pictures at this point, so we were trying to get more like just like wall hangings, things to put on the wall. And so we found this. If you've ever been to Rick's Cafe, comment and tell me what you think, because they had It was so neat, and this thing would never go over in America because of all the liabilities. That's such an interesting thing about traveling in other countries, because there's so much liability. I think I'm going to talk about this in another one of these, but like Rick's Cafe is on the coast, on top of like a cliff, and so you can walk down all these steps and be kind of on this rock basically, and you can just jump into the ocean. Well, the waves are crashing against the rocks and like against the cliff that's in the water. And so I jumped off like the lowest place you could, which to me was still pretty high. And you can see all the way to the bottom. It's just like this clear blue water. It was so cool. But again, like, that's a lot of liability, because if the waves go crazy, you can get smashed against the side of a cliff. So like, if this was in America, I don't foresee them allowing you to jump. But on top of that, you could climb up a ladder and jump from a really high part of the cliff into the water. I don't remember how high that was, but it was high. My husband did that one. That was like the medium one. I did not do that one because I was too scared. But then they had one that I don't know. I only saw Jamaican people jumping off of it. I don't know that they let tourists jump off of it. But they would climb up this pole on a ladder. And there was just this tiny ledge to place your feet. It was so high. And we watched this guy do it. And I mean, I'm sure they do it every day, but it was terrifying to watch because it was so high. And you're jumping into this water that's not calm water. It's, you know, the waves are coming in and out. So the depth of the water is constantly changing. The water kind of flows out and in. I took a video and I still have it because I was just amazed. I could not believe. And he just like played up there for a while, like building anticipation. It was nuts. And I mean, he jumped and it was crazy. And he did all these flips and different stuff, but it was so high. And you're just jumping into this kind of like, I can't think of the word I'm trying to find, but the cliffs are kind of making like a circle, like a half moon into this little swimming hole. It was crazy. It was really fun. So that was a really cool thing. Plus, you think of all the people like drinking and like doing that, like that's so dangerous. Oh, it was so dangerous to be like doing that anyway, sober-minded, but like you think of all the people that are just like trashed out of their minds and like jumping into that water. It's just scary. That's why I don't feel like it would go over in America. Since I'm on that topic, I'm gonna go ahead and show you this, because for my birthday one year, my husband surprised me and took me to an elephant sanctuary in Oklahoma. This has kind of gotten dirtied up, unfortunately, but this elephant made this little heart with this trunk painting. Brought it over to me, which was really cute. But like, so the reason this ties in with what I was saying is because when I was in Thailand, I spent a day at an elephant sanctuary there, And like when you compare that experience to an elephant sanctuary in America, it's so different. Again, there's so much more liability, and like people just don't want that kind of stuff on their hands in America, like all the things that could go wrong. So like when I spent a day at an elephant sanctuary in Thailand, I mean, everybody rode their own elephant completely by yourself. They're trained, obviously, but you're just like, we ride them through the jungle. We got in the lake with them and gave them baths. I mean, at the end of the day, my elephant like wrapped his trunk around my neck and like gave me a kiss. Like, think about all the danger, like think about all the things that could go wrong. Because this was, could do like a whole story time, but there was a temple nearby, and the group before us was coming back from riding, and at the temple they set off fireworks, and the elephants went crazy. They just took off running. And I remember it so clearly in my mind, this woman on top of her elephant, and she was holding on, and just the look of terror in her face as she ran past me on her elephant. Because I mean, it just took off. And these Thai men ran after and tried to like get him back under control, but they were so scared of the fireworks going off. And then it was like our turn. And it was kind of terrifying because we're like, well, I don't want that to happen to me. Where this elephant can just like take off in the jungle with me on its back. But that experience was so cool because you just like did the day with them. Like you fed them, bathed them, did a little walk through the jungle, and you're with them like all day. And then in America, my husband like did all the like paid all these extra things because we were with a group, but because it was my birthday, like the elephant like came out holding a basket with his trunk and like brought this to me. But you weren't, you were on the other side of the fence. Like he handed it to me through the fence. And then they like called me out there to be able to give him a bath. But they made the elephant lay down, and they were there to like make sure, like of course he'd been trained and stuff, that he stayed laying on his side the entire time I like bathed him. Whereas we all just went into the river together and stood right beside our elephants and just bathed them, and they would spray us with their trunks, and they were just having fun and living life while we were in the river with them. Again, so much could go wrong. But like in America, they're not going to go for that. Like they're not going to let you be that close and like have the animal just unrestrained. And so it's just interesting, like the different ways we're gonna do stuff, because that was like nobody else, because I guess my husband had paid for it, I got to go in there and do that, but like nobody else could get that close. Like the rest of the time we would be standing on the other side of the fence. Like if they were standing up on all fours, everybody was on the other side of the fence to like get a picture, like whatever. Whereas in Thailand, you were just like hanging out right beside your elephant all day long with no barrier. And they weren't like chained up or anything. We were just in the jungle. But this was a sweet little thing that I got from that day for my birthday. This was something that I had made while I was in Africa. I wasn't specifically, for most of the trip, I was in Mozambique. So the guy who carved this like did a special like a raised section for Mozambique, but had Africa, and then did the different animals on the sides. So it was really cool. He like met with us at the very beginning of our trip. We were there for like 6 weeks. And so he met with us and kind of got like an idea of what we wanted. And then by the end of the trip, he brought us all like what we had kind of envisioned. It was really neat. Okay, this one is still wrapped in newspaper. I was pretty sure that this is what this was. But I got this one in Germany. And it shows like a lot of the different places, like famous places to visit in Germany. Neuschwanstein, right here. This is like the Cinderella castle. It was so beautiful. I went there when I studied abroad. Stuttgart has a military base, and so when I studied abroad, we stayed with a military family at one point outside of Stuttgart. Berlin, Frankfurt, always flew into Frankfurt. Munich, those are places that I went. So I haven't been to all of these places, but I've been to a lot of them. But this we got when my husband and I both went together to visit my family. We got that one on that trip. This is like an Aztec calendar. We got this on our honeymoon when we were in Mexico. We stayed in Tulum, but we did like an excursion one day where we went to Chichen Itza. And I think that's where we got this. Was it Chichen Itza? I thought that was cool. That's like a wall hanging. It had like a little place you could hang it from the wall. This was just a pretty picture from New Orleans. They had these little painted prints. And it was already matted like this, and so I just had to get a frame for it. And I thought that was so pretty. I like the French Quarter. This was another picture from Africa that my husband had. It was kind of long ways, pretty big. That he got on one of his trips to Africa. And then that may be all I brought over here. Like I said, I think we probably had more than that because it was a lot, but that's the majority of what we had on our travel wall. And then we always had like a big world map that we had, like a wooden world map that we had hanging up. And I loved that. It was so fun. But then it just got kind of out of hand because we had so many things that we started just kind of deciding to put out like a few pieces in our house. Maybe one day we'll have a space to do like another travel wall. So like I'm not going to get rid of any of this stuff because it's really special, but we just don't have a place right now to display everything. So maybe we will again though. So anyway, that's a lot. I guess that's like the most of my travel stuff that I have to show. The mugs, I've already done like postcard videos, and then all of the like hangings from the wall that I have. That's like the majority of my travel stuff. So hopefully that fulfilled that request. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys soon.